And I received this award on behalf of the South African government, and I believe on behalf of all the South African people. I say on behalf of South African people because I have seen them on the streets, I have seen them campaigning, calling for solidarity across the country, and also calling for the international community to do the same. I also want to thank my predecessor, former Minister Dr. Pando, also for her collaborative effort that we had to do together on this matter, going to the ICJ and the various platforms of multilateral institutions of the United Nations. I also reserve my highest honor to the President of the Republic of South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa, whose, without his support, the South African team would not have went to the court. I remember when we thought of the proposal, we were very scared how to raise it, because we looked at it and thought this is a very scary issue. And there's a possibility that the president may even chase us out of his house. So we said, no, instead of speaking to him verbally about this issue, we must just write him a letter. He's going to decide what to do. If he agrees, he will call us. If he doesn't agree, we'll just see by no response. But to engage him on this might be career limiting. So we wrote a letter, and we were surprised when he did say, no, he thinks this is it's a cause worth pursuing. And that shows the courage and the determination that President Ramaphosa hold this matter in this regard. And that led to a process to take it to cabinet, and also the collective cabinet of the Republic of South Africa said this is a cause worth pursuing. And I believe Menkosazana was still there. This was not an easy decision as it was taken. Everyone knew that we were entering into uncharted territory. It's going to be difficult, it will be verified. But cabinet said, let's stand on the right side of history. And for that, I also want to thank the cabinet of the 6th administration for that decision that it took, which empowered all of us, including the lawyers that you saw going to court, to go and present and could be able to stand and say, we are standing on behalf of the people of South Africa. It's because we knew that it's a cabinet resolution and a decision that we were standing behind. And it's also because of that we can now still continue, because this is backed by the Constitution of the Republic, it's backed by our own Genocide Convention, which has been domesticated in our parliament by former Minister Dula Oma as the former Minister of Justice, who participated in domesticating the Genocide Convention in the Parliament of the Republic of South Africa. And for that, I want to thank this government for this foresight and for having domesticated these conventions aimed to protect humanity across the globe and also in our country. And I think that also befits you, Mr. Castles. I believe you were also there. He said I should not call him Mr. Castles, I should call him Ronnie. But it's difficult for me because I'm too young to call him Ronnie. But that was the cabinet of this country and a decision to domesticate these laws that are very important for a cause in international law. It is therefore fitting that we gather here at this site, which houses the names of liberation struggle icons and heroes from every corner of the world. It is most appropriate that this commemoration of the 47th UN International Day of Solidarity with Palestinian people takes place in these hallowed walls of the Freedom Park. I want to begin, before I dwell on the Palestinian issue, by continuing to voice and the echoes of the South African government, which continues to call for ceasefire in Sudan, a call to all the warring factions to open lines of communications that can lead to a peaceful resolution of the conflict, not for them only to meet in the battlefield. We also call for unfettered access of humanitarian aid to the people of Sudan. According to various UN agencies, this could be one of the biggest world humanitarian crises that is currently unfolding. More than 5 million people have been displaced in Sudan, and it is still continuing. It is against this background that we call for also the whole world to shine the spotlight on the conflict in Sudan, and everything humanly possible should be done to ensure that there is ceasefire in Sudan. Today, as we commemorate the Palestinian Solidarity Day, ours is to ensure that we achieve a dream expressed 27 years ago by our icon and founding father of democracy in South Africa, the late former President Nelson Mandela, when he aptly stated, and I quote, "We know too well that our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinians. We dare not fail on this vision." I'm deeply humbled by His Excellency President Mohamed Abbas' decision to bestow to me, on behalf of the South African government, the Order of Star of Merit. We also honor the late President Yasser Arafat, who sadly left us 20 years ago. February 2025 will mark the 30th anniversary of establishing fraternal and diplomatic ties between South Africa and Palestine. This milestone highlights the long-standing solidarity between the two nations, rooted in South Africa's struggle for liberation and its commitment to supporting Palestinian rights. Our solidarity with the people did not start last year with the people of Palestine, as some will have us to believe or will want to tell the world, as it was not on the instruction of other states, but it was a decision of the South African government. Those who make this claim ignore our history for their own convenience. They ignore our history to blunt their conscience. Our consciousness will not be blunted by the spreaders of propaganda. Allow me to echo the words of Ambassador Joni Makatini in his statement at the meeting of the Special Committee Against Apartheid in observance of the International Day of Solidarity with the struggling people of South Africa. He said, and I quote, "Encouraged by the position that the committee has always taken in stigmatizing the economic, military, and nuclear collaboration between South Africa and Israel, I seize this moment to add the voice of the ANC to the vehement condemnation of the wanton aggression currently being perpetrated by Israel against Lebanon. In doing so, we reaffirm our revolutionary solidarity with the valiant people of Palestine, who are certain will emerge as they have done in the past from this ongoing savage attack stronger than ever before and united under the leadership of their sole and authentic representative, the Palestinian Liberation Organization." I close quote. That we can echo the words of the African National Congress at the UN as far back as 1982, almost verbatim today, speaks of the impunity that has prevailed where Israel is concerned for decades. It also shows that our struggle for freedom is intertwined with the struggle of the Palestinian people. In 1982, I was not yet born. We, with the assistance of the apartheid movement from all corners of the world, defeated apartheid in South Africa. We gather here to reflect on the shared values of freedom, justice, and humanity and human dignity that bind South Africa and Palestine. How paradoxical that in 1948, the same year that the UN Charter on Human Rights came to life, apartheid became the official policy in South Africa. It was also in 1948 that the Palestinian question became vivid. It was in 1948 that Israel consolidated its occupation of Palestinian territory beyond that allotted to it by the partition plan. This underscores South Africa's continued advocacy for a just solution to the Israel-Palestinian conflict, driven by the principle of international law, particularly international humanitarian and human rights law. The upcoming anniversary reminds us of our collective responsibility in the global movement for peace and self-determination. It reinforces the importance of diplomacy and fostering global partnerships based on mutual respect and shared aspirations for a better future. Let this gathering be a call to action and to solidarity. It cannot be that any criticism towards Israel is rendered anti-Semitic. It cannot be that every action aimed at justice is rendered as a proxy action by Iran or another force. To question who bears responsibility for the countless child corpses emerging from the rubble of what were once homes destroyed by Israel bombs is not an act of anti-Semitism. It is a profound call to human conscience, a plea for justice. It is a cry for accountability, a demand that the world recognize and respond to the suffering of the innocent people of Palestine.